During the past few days, I have been discussing on the methods used or employed for pest control. I have talked about the physical methods of pest control. I've talked about the mechanical method of insect pest control. And in continuation to the same, today I would start with the cultural method of pest control. I would be discussing the topic under two parts, part 1 and part 2. As the name indicates, cultural method. So, we would talk about the culture, rather, the methods used in the changes in the agricultural practices. Here, the word cultural means related to agricultural practice. So, modifications or alterations made in the agricultural practices for the management of insect pest would be dealt with under this. Cultural methods of insect control comprise the regular farm operations, the farm practices, so performed as to destroy the insects or to prevent them from causing injury. By adopting various cultural practices, definitely the agricultural practices, as preventive measures, the pest may either be killed directly or indirectly, since these methods must be employed far in advance of the actual appearance of the pest and the consequent damage. The control achieved is not so spectacular as to make a strong appeal to the farmers. So the only negative aspect is because it is not seen, it is not visualized immediately, but yes, it is definitely effective. These methods cost hardly anything, because all that is required is to be done is to adjust the maybe the time of plowing, sowing, irrigating, harvesting, so on and so forth. Crop rotation and improved management of the farm are also an important part of this farm practices or agricultural practices. Often with crops of treat acreage and low unit value, they are the only control measures that can be employed profitably. Because we always talk about economy when we talk about economic entomology and related to the agricultural practices, because we are actually cultivating, the farmer actually is cultivating the crop for its economy, for its profit. And if it doesn't gain any profit out of what it is doing, it is of no use to the farmer. So, when we talk about crops which have a great acreage, which are used in a lot of area and have a low unit value, they are not going to fetch you a large price, then this method is one such method which can be employed profitably. The opportunity for cultural control of insect usually results from the interplay of the complicated life cycle of insects and change of seasons. The result is often some particularly weak point in the life cycle or adaptation of the insect pest to its environment, at which point it may be attacked by a cultural control measure. So it is actually, we should know the life cycle of the insect which is a pest, which is acting as a pest, and then targeting that vulnerable point of the life cycle where any method can be opted so that the insect doesn't cause the economic loss. That means it doesn't attain the pest status. In order to control insects by cultural practices, it is necessary that one understands the life history and habits of the insect with which one is dealing. Very important. A control that would be effective against one kind of insect might be useless against a closely related kind because of difference in habits. Now, this is very important. When we wish to employ a cultural practice, then it's quite possible that the method we are going to employ, the method we are going to use, might be effective against one pest but may not be so for the other insect. For the achievement of cultural control, the various agricultural practices can be grouped under the following heads. Number one, tilling and cultivating the soil. Such characteristics of soil as texture, chemical composition, moisture, and temperature and soil fauna directly influence the survival of soil infesting insects. Those characteristics also influence the quality of food, which determines the abundance of a given pest. Thus, with the proper stirring and management of the soil, many insects can be controlled provided the details of the life histories and the behavior of insect are known. The depth of cultivation, its frequency and timing will depend on the insect species concerned. The soil infesting insects in general can be easily killed by exposing them to weather, that means the natural calamities. In a way, the temperature, the heat, the moisture, all these would be effective, very effective in killing the different stages of insects. The insects are particularly helpless in the pupal stage. Most of them, for example, here the example is of an oriental fruit fly, but any insects which lay their eggs underground, and if they are exposed, so by tilling and cultivating the soil, the stages of insect which remain under the soil are exposed to the natural calamities, to the natural atmospheric conditions, and these atmospheric conditions, because and also not only to the atmospheric conditions but also to their natural predators and parasites, they are exposed to them. They are brought above the soil, that means open to the environment, and here their natural enemies would eat them off, or they would desiccate because of high heat or water. Packing the soil hard or caking it is useful in controlling cutworms. Packing the soil with a roller also tends to raise the water level. The subterranean insects rise to the soil surface where they are picked up by their natural enemies. The common hibernating species found in the soil are the cotton semilooper, the lucerne caterpillar, the Bihar hairy caterpillar, the cutworms, specifically of the Agrotis species. Most of the surface grasshoppers and field crickets lay eggs late in the summer or during the autumn in the upper 7 to 10 centimeters of the soil. When a field is cultivated, the eggs in the soil are brought to the surface where they either get desiccated or are picked up by birds and other natural predators. A majority of the remaining eggs do not hatch in the spring because their emergence holes are blocked. This also could be one of the reasons. Similarly, the larvae of pink bollworm, Pectinophora gossypiella, and the spotted bollworms, that is the Aries species of cotton found in the soil in damaged bolls or cotton seed, if buried deep by plowing, cannot emerge as moths next spring. So not only exposing them to the upper layer of the soil or bringing them open to the atmosphere, if they are buried deep also could may help, because then the adults do not emerge, and if adults would not emerge, they would not mate, they would not produce their next progeny. So this also could be a method to regulate or to control or to manage the insect pest. Second is the use of clean seed. A number of insect pests are carried over from one crop to the next through seeds, cuttings, or other infested plant parts. Certified seeds free from pests and disease should be used for raising a new crop. It is very important. Wheat galls should be separated by dipping the wheat seed in 5 to 10% salt solution. The hibernating larvae of the pink bollworm are found in the double seeds of cotton, and they can be killed easily by fumigating the seeds. Again, we will be talking about this procedure of fumigation. Fumigation is a process in which the liquid chemical which is applied for controlling converts directly into the um, mm, gas form, and this penetrates inside the whatever source we are taking, may it be the seed, may it be the plant part, may it be the food, and then kills the insect stage which is within that particular object. Methyl bromide, phosphine, carbon bisulfide are the effective fumigants. If unfumigated seed is sown, the pest is carried over to the young crop. So, therefore, fumigation would kill the insect stages which are inside the seed, and because they are now free from insect pest attack, these seeds are good and they can be used for cultivating the soil for the next season. Regulating irrigation. If water is supplied to the fields by flooding, a large number of insects present in the soil are drowned. So, irrigation also is a process which comes under agricultural practices of insect pest control. Some of them are driven out and exposed to their natural enemies. After lucerne is harvested, many lucerne caterpillars remain in the field. A newly harvested field should be irrigated and the pest killed by drowning. The sugarcane and wheat crops can be saved from the attack of white ants by irrigating them. The stalk borers of sugarcane, that is of the Chilo species, is more serious in flooded areas, and therefore water should be controlled. So, regulating irrigation is also an important practice. Next comes the use of resistant varieties. It is well known that certain varieties or strains of crops are attacked less by a given insect than others because of the natural resistance of those plants. For example, the desi cotton, Gossypium arboreum, is much more resistant to the attack of Jessid, whitefly and bollworms than the American cotton, that is Gossypium buccetum. The sugarcane varieties which have hard rind and have hard fibrous pith are generally more resistant to the attack of sugarcane borers. The varieties having broad and drooping leaves are more susceptible to pyrilla and the whitefly Bemisia tevisae, and those having hollow pith are easily infected with red rot. So, just using the varieties which are less attacked by the insect pest could be one of the options, which is a part of cultural control method. Stimulating plant growth with fertilizers. Healthy and vigorous plants are able to resist the attack of a given pest better and for a longer period than the sickly, undernourished plants. Plant growth can be stimulated with proper manuring. NPK should be applied in the right proportions. The growth of sugar can be stimulated by the soil application of BHC and Tillodrin. The crop so stimulated is free from the attack of stem borer Chilo infescatalis and the root borer Amelisora depressella. The potato crop stimulated by the application of Bodiak's mixture becomes less susceptible to the attack of Jessid. In the well-manured cucurbit fields, a fast rate of growth is observed in the crop which can withstand the attack of red pumpkin beetle. So, if the plant is healthy, and how a plant can be made healthy? With the use of different fertilizers. So, if the plant is healthy, it is less susceptible uh, to the attack. It is more susceptible. If the plant is healthy, it is more susceptible to the pest attack, and if it is weak, definitely it will be more susceptible to the insect attack. Even in human beings, we see those which have better immunity, which are strong, which are very healthy, get the attack of various diseases or illness less as compared to those which are weak, have low immunity, and so they are more attacked by different illness or diseases. Thank you.